Starting our meeting on July 26, 2012. It is 7:01 p.m. and Sally, you need a roll call.
Thank you. Stackhouse.
Here.
Everett.
Here.
Larson.
Here.
Mattingly. Rollinger.
Here.
Schrader.
Here.
Watson.
Here.
And DeVoe. We do have a quorum this evening.
Okay. All right. If everybody could join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first of all, we have approval of minutes from the previous meeting. Does anybody have any changes or comments or?
I have a question. Page 2, about 5 lines down from the top. The room is multi-purpose setting where people might conduct meetings and training, undertake self-mediation. They're not mediating a union disagreement, are they? Meditation, maybe?
Yes.
That's my only comment. And I'll continue to meditate.
And I'll be the mediator.
And I'm under medication.
Anybody else? Okay. So we, looks like we're a go on those, Sally, for approval.
That correction. Thank you.
Okay, we have requests for public hearings. And item number A, CUP 12-003 for Light Ministries New Church. The request for conditional use permit approval for a church on the use of the property at 530 Chester Avenue in Woodland Park. And they have asked to table that, I assume, Sally?
Yes.
Okay. Do we need to vote on that, I assume?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any comments or anything from anybody? Okay, we'll put it up for a vote. We need a motion, don't we?
Yes, you
Okay.
do. And this would be to table this case to August 23rd.
I move that the aforementioned case be tabled until
August 23rd.
August 23rd.
Second.
And for the roll call, Stackhouse,
Yes.
Everett,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes?
Rollinger,
Aye.
Schrader,
Yes.
and Watson.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Okay. Second item on our list is SUB 12-005 Paradise of Colorado Preliminary Plat Extension. Request for the city's review and approval for an extension of a portion of the Paradise of Colorado Preliminary Plat for 29 remaining single-family residents on lots on 56 acres. A subdivision of a portion of the west half of Section 19, T12S, R68W of the 6th PM in the City of Woodland Park, Teller County, Colorado, and generally located northeast of Thunder Ridge Drive and Majestic Parkway, as requested by Tony Perry, President and CEO of Park State Bank Trust. Okay.
Thank you.
Sally?
Thank you. This is a preliminary plat that was approved back in 2005 and called the Top of Paradise filing number 1. It's now referred to as Paradise of Colorado. This extension request is for 2 years to 2014. I'd like to draw your attention to the zoning map, and I have highlighted in red the Top of Paradise master plan area. There is approximately 200 acres in this area, and the master plan is valid for another couple of years. And within this 200 acres, about 58 acres were platted, or preliminary platted, and it has had a couple of other extensions as well as a final plat. The initial platting allows for 2 years for that preliminary plat to be valid. If you final plat anytime during that time, then it extends the preliminary plat for another year. This is a standard procedure for the applicant to keep their preliminary plats valid and alive through these requests. So here is the master plan for the 200 acres, and outlined in red is the preliminary plat area. And then I'd like to show you, this is the preliminary plat for the 58 lots. And currently, the first 29 lots, or first half, have been final platted, and many of you have probably driven through the new roads that extend up Thunder Ridge, Regal Way, and then down to Majestic Parkway. There have been about 3 homes that have been built in this subdivision thus far, and all the infrastructure is currently in. We're about to do the final acceptance of that infrastructure. There were easements that were needed outside this final plat area. Those have been secured, as well as you'll notice there's a water tank site. A new water tank was installed as part of this first filing, and that water tank site now has been conveyed to the city or deeded over to the city. It is very reasonable for this request to extend the preliminary plat to 2014 due to the economic downturn. The additional time allows for greater build out. The absorption rate has been fairly slow, and one of our analysis is to determine whether there have been any changes to the subdivision regulations that might impact this preliminary plat. There have not been. The only thing we've done with subdivision regulations is to add cluster housing, and there is not a desire at this point of the owner, which is owned by Park State Bank and Trust, to modify the preliminary plat to allow for any cluster housing. We might see that in the future on areas outside this preliminary plat within the master planned portion. So with that, we recommend that you move approval of the 2-year extension for the Top of Paradise Filing 1 preliminary plat to August 4th, 2014. And in the audience this evening is Chuck Mahoney, who is representing Park State Bank, should you have any questions of him. And I'd be happy to answer any questions about this extension request.
Is 2 years the most we can grant them?
The code really calls for 1-year extensions, but we've done 2 1-year extensions technically. They could ask for more if they wanted to, but I think because preliminary plats are initially valid for 2 years, it makes sense that you do them in 2-year increments.
Thank you.
Any questions for Chuck Mahoney? Chuck, do you have anything you want to add or bring up at this time? Okay. Seeing no other questions, any discussion amongst us on this issue, or?
Makes sense. Let's do it. Give them some breathing room.
Okay, then I would ask for a motion to move forward with this.
I'll make the motion so that Mr. Rollinger can second it.
Second.
Thank you. Everett,
Yes.
Larson,
Yes?
Rollinger,
Aye.
Schrader,
Yes.
Watson,
Yes.
and Stackhouse.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously, and this will move forward to City Council next week, August 2nd. Thank you, Chuck.
Mr. Chairman, point of discussion.
Yes, sir.
I didn't want to bring this up during the hearing for this project, but as we move forward and bring this project to the city council, I would like to see if the city council may be interested in amending our code, and that if there's any part of the preliminary plat that does have a final plat approved for it, that the preliminary plat continues on perpetually from that point on. It doesn't have to be renewed.
Interesting, is that the way Colorado Springs handles their preliminary plats?
We don't do too many preliminary plats. We consider a development plan a preliminary plat, and we see a lot of the residential subdivisions come in that way.
That is the case in a PUD, planned unit development. They're required to submit a preliminary plat, as you saw with the WOMAC project, with their development plan. And once the development begins, that preliminary plat is valid in perpetuity. So it's very similar to how the PUD already functions.
I'd just like to bring that up in front of the commission, see if there is an interest in asking the council to consider that.
Is there any downside to that, Scott or Sally?
Well, the downside would be if you do amend your subdivision regulations and there are different criteria for platting that might affect the way the original plat was established. But, you know, our subdivision regulations are pretty true and good in terms of those standards. And I don't know if, Scott, you would foresee us. It's more to do with the process than it is the standards.
My reasoning for that is because if you got a preliminary plat and you've already planted from that already, you know, it just makes sense to allow the developer to continue on with that pattern, regardless of whether our
Right.
code does change, because there is somewhat of a given approval that this is acceptable, go ahead and start planning from this, and then to come back and later say, well, we changed this or that, I think that's a disservice to the developer. That was my opinion.
I tend to agree with what you're asking for. I can't think of anything detrimental or anything like that that would be caused by asking the city council to do that. So, yeah, I think that's something we should go out to ask them to take a look at that.
Do the rest of you feel that way?
Yeah, it's fine. Streamlines.
Well, at least see what the reaction is.
Okay.
It's ultimately
See what they have to say
their
about it, see
decision.
if
So
they can come up with any reason why that wouldn't work. I just like the idea of streamlining it too. I agree
Yeah.
with you, Larry.
Yeah,
And I agree with you, the change in the regulations, if there's already been a portion of it approved for final platting, technically, the rest of that plat should follow in and marry in with what the original considerations and
You know, I think just as a matter of course, we should look at our process each time we do something and see if it needs to be tweaked or changed, or is this acceptable? And if we can save time, we're saving the applicant money.
Yep.
And it seems to be very fashionable these days.
Yep, I would agree. Okay. At this time, Sally, do you want to do the reports or any discussion comment before we move to a work
Sure.
session?
Sure. I
Get that
just
part of it done?
have a couple of things on
Okay.
your desk. Here's the monthly report from last month. I wanted to mention that in August, We have a regularly scheduled meeting for 8/9, August 9th. We do not have any cases associated with that night. Our plan is to draft the multifamily parking standards into an ordinance form and bring that forward to you at the end of August. We can get a draft ordinance out to you, but unless you feel like you would like to meet and discuss it in a work session setting, I don't see any need to meet on August 9th. And you can think about that and we can make that decision later, but that would be the only reason to meet, is to continue to talk a little bit more about the preparation of that amendment to the multifamily parking code. Then on August 23rd, the second meeting in August, we propose to have that public hearing on the modification to the code for multifamily parking. We've just tabled the Light Ministries CUP to that night, and then we can also discuss other cases or other amendments to the code at that time as well. So that's the next month, summer month of August. And I did want to mention also that we have been coordinating with Teller County Planning an opportunity for the state demographer, Elizabeth, to come and visit with all of you. We were hoping to do that at the end of August, however, she has a conflict, so we're going to push it out for another month and do that September 25th. And that would be a dual work session with Teller County Planning Commission. Woodland Park will also invite Cripple Creek and Victor to join us here that night to be able to hear from the state demographer. So I wanted to let you know, we'll get that on your calendars here soon.
One of my favorite topics.
I knew you'd love that.
Anything to do with numbers, right?
And that's all that I have to report.
Okay, and I don't have anything to report since I've missed the last two meetings, so. Anybody got any discussion or comments about anything that we need to bring up?
Just to comment on Sally's comment, are you saying, Sally, to not have a meeting on August 9th and just move right into the ordinance?
Yes.
I think we gave pretty good direction at our last meeting, so I think that's acceptable.
All right, if we don't have anything else, we'll adjourn and go break out here for our work session. Our meeting is adjourned at 7:20. Is that fast enough, Larry?
Yeah, that's not too bad. As long as you get the next part to go fast.
That's a rocket ship.